Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, to kick things off, I'm still on a cruise ship. I'm a number of whiskeys deep. I don't have a number for you today, but it's more than one. Anyways, here we've got a lot to talk about. And well, first up on the docket is the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, it's a wee bit windy up on the deck here. I was trying to record a little bit, but if you take a look outside, as soon as I hop off and into the uncovered area, it gets really windy really fast. So I don't think this is going to sound real nice on the microphone. I'm going to go back under here real quick. Anyways, we're talking about the Nintendo Switch 2, and it turns out that the Nintendo Switch 2 has filed some patents for the Joy-Con mouse movement. Now, this may be an unpopular opinion, but I don't really think Nintendo needed to file patents to showcase mouse functionality. I mean, mice have been around for years now, and the way people use them is generally the same, with very similar finger positions and movements. So I'm not quite sure on why they did this one, but if you know more than I do, let me know in the comments below. Now, on top of all of that for the Switch 2, there's also something else that's generated a lot of talk online, and that's the fact that the GTA 6 publisher, which is Take-Two, fully expects to support the Switch 2 going forward. And a lot of people are thinking that GTA 6 is going to be on the Switch 2. Now, it's worth pointing out that Take-Two publishes more than just GTA 6, so it might not necessarily guarantee that GTA 6 will be on the Switch 2. But there is a very interesting quote here. There was a time when Nintendo platforms were geared at younger audiences. That was reflected in our release schedule. Today, with Switch and potentially with Switch 2, the Switch device can support any audience. And obviously GTA 6 is not meant towards a younger audience. So let me know your thoughts about that one in the comments below, and I think that would be a huge win for the Switch 2 if they could get GTA 6 up and running on it. Now, getting the game on the platform in the first place would be impressive, but getting the game up and running on the platform with the Switch's hardware may pose a bit of a challenge, but we'll have to wait and see. And speaking about challenge with hardware, next up we're talking about the Steam Deck and Monster Hunter. And this one is pretty interesting. This article is over on Gaming on Linux, and like everything we talk about, link will be in the description below at the bottom here. But the title of the article, and I think this kind of sets the mood for the entire article, Monster Hunter Wilds looks unplayable on Steam Deck, but good on desktop Linux. I do recommend reading this article, and I guess the first paragraph here also sums things up very well. It seems like Monster Hunter Wilds may just be too much for the little Steam Deck after testing out the newly released Monster Hunter Wilds benchmark mode. But desktop Linux is looking good. Now, keep in mind, this is technically early access because the game hasn't launched yet, so it may get updated, may get optimized in the future. I've got no idea here. But looking at some of the screenshots without upscaling, without frame generation, and well, things are not looking good. It is running, so that's a huge plus, but frame rates may take a bit of a dip here and there, and well, things aren't going to look pretty. We'll have to wait and see moving forward to see if Capcom addresses this and does specific patches for the Steam Deck or specific updates or optimizations for the Steam Deck, but I'm not going to hold my breath about it. If you have a Steam Deck and you're excited about Monster Hunter Wilds, you may want to temper those expectations. And speaking about tempering expectations, next up here we're talking about Smite and Paladins. And if you're a fan of either of those games, you may want to temper your expectations on updates moving forward. It turns out that it's being reported in a lot of different areas that these games are officially dead. They won't even get bug fix updates moving forward. The article's over here on Duckstation, and they're saying here, as a result of mass layoffs affecting several parts of Hi-Rez Studios and subsidiary companies, Titan Forge, Rally Here, and Evil Mojo Games, development on both Paladins and Smite has completely ceased. Now, my advice here is if you're enjoying either of these games, enjoy them as much as you can for the foreseeable future, because it seems that long term these games are not going to be around. They're around as long as servers are up, and if you're planning on spending money in these games, you may want to be careful about doing that, because that money may go to waste if the game's shut down right away. And speaking about money going to waste, next up we're talking about Civilization 7. And it turns out that Civilization 7's launch has not gone very well at all, but the developer is listening. So I do want to point out that Civ 7 has not officially launched yet, but it is available for people who have pre-purchased it, and well, the early access has generated mixed overall reviews, which is not very good at all. And I mean, it's not just 1 or 2 reviews here. I mean, they've got over 6,000 reviews already. And here's a very interesting one that I do want to pay attention to, and I want you to hear. So this person says they don't write reviews for any reason because they're normally too lazy, but they've been playing Civ for about 20 years. And it's one of the first video games they were ever exposed to. They say while the game does have potential, the UI is terrible and crucial basic things are completely missing. You can't automate explorers. A lot of key command either doesn't exist anymore or are completely hidden to the player, and you just have to try old combinations that you remember from other games. And you can't queue your tech tree at all. The review itself is quite thorough. There's a lot of information here, and the last paragraph sums things up well. There is something here. The environments look great and the game feels less cartoonish like Civ 6 attempted to be. And there are exciting mechanics and ideas that are worth exploring in the long term. But calling this unfinished is generous. Core features are missing and so much backwards regression has been taken. It's not impossible to play, but it's frustrating and barely feels like a Civ game. And according to an article over on PC Gamer, it appears the developer is listening, which I guess is a silver lining. Firaxis says improving the game's wildly unpopular UI is their top priority. Developers need some time to digest all of the feedback, but they're committed to getting this right. Civ 7 officially launches on November 11th, and I can tell you this is one game that I won't be picking up until they get things right and until things are updated and people are happy with it. And I can't tell you how many times I've said this, but this is one of a million reasons why I no longer pre-order games. I usually wait just to see how things are and whether or not a game has been rushed, and it appears that this game has been rushed, and I don't even know why. But on a side note here, if you have played Civ 7, let us know your thoughts in the comments below and let other people know your experiences with the game. Are these opinions fair? Are you enjoying the game? Are these opinions not fair? I'm very curious to hear what other people have to say here. It just seems that this game was rushed and people are not happy with it. And speaking about things people aren't too happy about, next up we're talking about Football Manager 25. And some people aren't too happy about this decision, but I think it might be the right one given the circumstances here. It appears that Football Manager 25 has been cancelled. So this update comes right from the Football Manager website, and they say Sports Interactive regret to inform that following extensive internal discussion and careful consideration with Sega, we have made the difficult decision to cancel Football Manager 25 and shift our focus to the next release. And if you did pre-order, you will be refunded provided you pre-ordered from an approved seller like Steam or something like that. Now there are a number of people not happy about this one, but I would say it's better to cancel a game and give people their money back as opposed to release something that's in a pretty bad state. I mean, that could be a hot take, that could be an unpopular opinion, but I don't think so. And I mean, take a look at Civ 7 and the amount of people who are frustrated with it. And I think just canceling Football Manager 25 and then just making Football Manager 26 with whatever they're working on for 25 makes a lot of sense. And considering they're already into 25 and will have to work on 26 pretty soon, to me it makes sense that they've canceled 25 just to roll into 26. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation with Sudachi, and Sudachi just got a brand new update. They're up to version 1.0.14, and this update brings a number of new changes. So it appears on top of a number of fixes here and some rewrites to improve accuracy, they've added support for booting the initial setup screen via setup, which is only available for Linux, Mac, and Windows, not Android. And they've added several missing functions to allow the initial setup screen to be launched. Now, Sudachi appears to be one of the few remaining Switch emulators out there. It still seems to be open source and 100% free. Like everything we talk about, link will be in the description below at the bottom if you wanted to learn more about it. And speaking about Android, next up we're talking about PlayStation 1 emulation on Android with Duckstation. And if you wait for Google Play Store updates for Duckstation, you're going to like this brand new update. So at the time of filming, there's a brand new update for Duckstation over on Google Play, and this is the first update on Google Play since September of 2024. And what they've added here, they've added multi-threading rendering, merging of multi-disc games into list grid, texture cache and replacements, new enhancements, new patch code system, game compatibility improvements, and an updated UI. Now, I don't know about you, but in my opinion, this is a very good update for Duckstation, and it's a very good sign for Duckstation on Android. Stenzak has been very active updating Duckstation on Android in the last few months here, and seeing an update published to the Google Play Store, I think shows a very good future for Duckstation. And speaking about very good releases, last up here, we're talking about the Sony PSP. And this really doesn't have to do with emulation, but it is a very good update in my opinion for the handheld. So there's a brand new plugin for the PSP, and this new plugin has the PSP work with WPA2 networks. And this, I think, is a very awesome thing to extend the life of the handheld. Now, there are a couple of things to note here. First and foremost, it may not necessarily be the smoothest experience out there, but it is called the WPA2 PSP plugin. And it only works with WPA2 with AES CCMP encryptions. TKIP is not supported and will not work. It doesn't work with WEP and WPA. And it only supports 2.4 gigahertz, which is completely understandable. Now, this does require a PSP with custom firmware, but I mean, at the exact same time, if you've got a PSP in this day and age, chances are it's probably modded to take most advantage of it. Maybe it doesn't. If you have an unmodded PSP that you still use, let me know in the comments below and let me know your thoughts about it. And let me know your thoughts if you're planning on modding it. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. It's a sea day today. We're stuck on the ship. There are no fluffs here. Anyways, it's time for me to get another whiskey. So let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button. Check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate. Save your state.